Hello, good and faithful people of the Church of the Mediator. It's Father Dale. I hope you're well whenever and wherever it is you hear this message this week. Where is God? Where? Where is God? That's my question for you this week. I'll come back to that very, very large question, very unanswerable in certain ways question. But first, I want to mention that we are coming up on our last of 9 bilingual liturgies this Sunday at 10 a.m. I think we are all happy and relieved both to have had the experience, maybe not happy, but we can at least value and learn from the experience of having celebrated together bilingually for quite a number of weeks. And also, I think it sounds to me like most of us are quite happy and looking forward to returning to our usual schedule of 9 a.m. in English and 1 p.m. in Spanish. That will happen on Sunday, September 7th, kickoff Sunday. Following the 9 a.m., we will have a sandwich luncheon in the Commons Room and a little bit of a ministry fair. I thought it would be good to re-highlight the many things that we can be involved in. So I really hope you all plan to stay after the 9 a.m. on Sunday, September 7th. Art in the Park is coming up on Saturday, September 13th. We do need folks to volunteer for that, so keep an eye out. And if you wish to donate in order to offset the costs of the things that we will buy for stock, we would be greatly appreciative for that. There's lots coming up. A mailing just went out yesterday with a reflection from you on the front page, a full schedule of all of the things that we'll be about as a parish in September, October, November, and December. Some of those highlights for you, the things that I'm looking forward to. We are having a finally rescheduled parish cleanup and clean out day at the end of September. That's a Saturday. We are going to have an Anthony and Dale live in concert at the end of November. Of course, for All Souls Day this semester, that will be a Sunday evening, November the 2nd, 7 p.m. Anthony is planning Morton Lauridsen's Lux Aeterna, which will be, it's a really mystical and profound piece of music that will aid our prayers and lift us to heaven as we pray for the faithful departed that night. Of course, we'll have our annual stewardship campaign, and we will celebrate in early November as we gather those pledges in. There's going to be a number of other things going on: Advent soup sampler, seniors luncheon, opportunities for formation, both in adult forums on second Sundays of the month, and theology at the tap room once a month on a Saturday evening, and a Bible study, 2-session Bible study on Zoom Wednesday evenings at the end of September and the beginning of October. All of those things are detailed. Take a look through them, put them on your calendar, hang that thing on your refrigerator, whatever it is that will remind you, so that you are able to engage and be part of the many things that we do as a parish together. Thanks be to God for this place. So where is God? I asked that question. There's 2 ways of taking that question, right? Or well, maybe probably more than 2 ways of taking that question. There is the where is God? Why is God not showing up? Why is not God intervening? That I think I imagine that your hearts have been feeling, as mine has, as we had the news of another school shooting this week, and it's hard to wrestle with evil and the things. The unfortunate and wrong decisions that human beings make that inflict violence and death on each other and on the creation. It's hard to make sense and meaning of what that is and why it happens and why God allows it or is not engaged in it. Where is God in that? That's one very, very large conversation with not really clear answers, of course, as it happens with these questions on the edge of our ability to know and to understand and to grapple. But my question is actually more locational. Where is God? Where does God live? Where is God? And you each may have an immediate answer that surges to mind. I ask it because this evening, this is Thursday evening, we're going to celebrate the Eucharist at 7 in Spanish, as we do on Thursday evenings. And the saint today is Saint Augustine, or Saint Augustine of Hippo, Bishop of Hippo in northern Africa. And St. Augustine, of course, is well known as a doctor of the church, someone who really gave the church a theological framework that has become important across many, many years. And also he's known for a great work of literature called the Confessions. I don't know if you've ever read Augustine's Confessions, but at the beginning, the first kind of introductory book, one of the books of Augustine's Confessions, he opens with this prelude of theological reflection and questions, getting at where has God been in his life? So the really kind of the spiritual direction question, where has God been in your life? Where has God been showing up? Where is God at? And I just wanted to read a little bit of this English translation from the Latin of Augustine's Confessions. This is the beginning. For God has said, I fill heaven and earth. I fill heaven and earth. That's from Jeremiah 23:24. Augustine continues, do heaven and earth contain you because you have filled them? They contain you. Or do you fill them and overflow them because they do not contain you? So is God contained by heaven and earth, or is God overflowing heaven and earth? Where do you put the overflow of yourself after heaven and earth are filled? Or have you, who contain all things, no need to be contained by anything, because what you will, you fill by containing it? We cannot think you are given coherence by vessels full of you, because even if they were to be broken, you would not be spilt. When you are poured out, Joel 2:28, upon us, you are not wasted on the ground. You raise us upright. You are not scattered, but reassemble us. In filling all things, you fill them all with the whole of yourself. Is that because all things cannot contain the whole of you, but contain part of you, and that all things contain the same part of you simultaneously? Or does each part contain a different part of you, the larger containing the greater parts, the lesser parts, the smaller? Does that imply there is some part of you which is greater, another part smaller? Or is the whole of you everywhere, yet without anything that contains you entire? Who then are you, my God? Augustine is very thickly, rhetorically asking questions about where is God, how is God contained, is God containable, is there definition around this thing? Who are you, my God? And what does it mean that you fill all things? I read that to you because it's beautiful and it's poetic and it's great literature, but I also think it's a reasonable question for us all the time. Where is God? How is God showing up for us? How are we showing up for God? Of course, he goes on to ask that question in the Confessions as well. How are we showing up for God? And what does it mean to be part of God's fullness and God's filling of all things? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for you? And what does it mean for the world and for the universe? Blessings, my friends. I will see you on Sunday at 10 a.m. Looking forward to that. Until then, peace.